I did it again. I picked another stupid ape. I should have known. It's not about showing you the universe. It never is. It's about the universe doing something for you.
Hello and welcome everybody, my name is Michael Novak. Welcome to Doctor Who Is My Life. Today I will be reviewing yet another Doctor Who episode, this time Father's Day from 2005, the 8th episode of the first series of the rebooted series. Now, as is tradition on the Doctor Who Is My Life channel, we will start the review with a short recap. Now the episode begins with Rose introducing us to her father, Peter Allen Tyler. We see a young Rose sitting with Jackie at home, while Jackie talks about how Rose's father was killed by a hit-and-run driver as he was crossing the road. In the TARDIS, Rose asks the Doctor if they could go back to the day he died so that she can be with her father in his last moments before he dies. The Doctor agrees and they set sail for the 7th of November 1987. They go to watch Pete get run over, but Rose backs out at the last minute and doesn't go sit with Pete while he's lying on the road. Rose misses her chance and asks the Doctor if they can go back and try again. The Doctor agrees and they go back to watch the incident once more. This time, however, Rose runs over to her father as he is about to get run over. She saves his life, thus creating a paradox. Rose and the Doctor follow Pete home, where the Doctor goes on to explain the seriousness of the situation to Rose. They get into an argument, and the Doctor asks for the TARDIS key back and then runs off. Rose continues to go with her father to the wedding of Sarah Clark and Stuart Hoskins. At the church, Rose runs into Jackie, who's outraged at Pete for being late and for bringing an unknown young woman to their friend's wedding. The two of them get into a row, but the Doctor soon shows up, commanding everybody to get into the church. Out of nowhere, a creature known as the Reapers turns up, attempting to attack Rose. The Doctor saves her at the last minute, but the Reapers go on to kill Stuart's father and the priest. The remaining guests all run in horror into the church, where the Doctor locks all the doors. Inside the church, the Doctor explains how the Reapers are creatures destined to sterilize wounds in the fabric of time. A paradox has been created because Pete is still alive, and so the Reapers attempt to fix the wound by consuming everything inside. Pete soon finds out that Rose is actually his daughter, and while he's trying to wrap his head around seeing his infant daughter all grown up, the Doctor comes up with a rescue plan. He finds out that he can summon the TARDIS using the TARDIS key and a mobile phone battery. The plan seems to be working. However, because Pete is trying to convince Jackie that baby Rose and adult Rose are in fact the same person, he accidentally gives the baby to Rose, thus resulting in a new paradox as two versions of the same person are touching each other. Because of this, a Reaper shows up inside the church and kills the Doctor. All seems lost. However, Pete soon discovers that the car that was supposed to kill him is still driving around outside in a time loop. He works out that if he runs in front of the car and gets run over like he was supposed to, the world will return to normal. Pete goes on to execute the plan, and it works. The Reapers disappear and everything goes back to normal. The Doctor returns, as does everyone who was killed by the Reapers. Rose runs to her dad to sit with him in his final moments. The episode ends with Pete dying and the Doctor and Rose returning to the TARDIS to fly on into new adventures. Alright everybody, now that was a short recap of the episode. Now let's get into the villain of the week, which in this case are the Reapers. Now the Reapers were flying gargoyle-like beings with red eyes and wings, claws that could break through stone, mouths on their chests, tails, and a dark brown tough skin. They lived in the time vortex and would search for disturbances in time, such as temporal paradoxes, leaving the time vortex and acting as bacteria taking advantage of the wound, devouring everything in the area. Now, older objects, such as the church in this episode, were hard for the Reapers to break through. They would devour the victims through their mouths, leaving no trace. Now, furthermore, the Reapers had the ability to deactivate TARDISes and other means of transportation as to not allow for an escape from their trap. As we see in this episode, they can only be destroyed when they come into contact with the TARDIS key. Now, the Time Lords also used to have control over the Reapers, dealing with the wounds in time themselves. Now let's get into my review of this episode. My favorite scene is an emotional one. It's the one where Pete explains to Rose and Jackie that he has to go out and get run over, but that Jackie has to stay behind because she has to bring up their daughter. Now, it's just a really emotional scene and really great acting by Shaun Dingwell. And it's just really convincing, and it almost brought a tear to my eye.
You're gonna be there for me, love? Thanks for saving me.
Now, my least favorite scene in this episode is the one where Rose is doing her little monologue in Pete's apartment, not acting like it's a big deal that she saved her father's life. Like it doesn't mean anything that she's altered her own timeline. Like it doesn't matter. She seems kind of smug about it before telling the Doctor to piss off, essentially. Especially because in this scene, the Doctor tries to tell her, like, my family, everybody I knew died. You never think it occurred to me to go back and save them?
My entire planet died. My whole family. Do you think it never occurred to me to go back and save them?
You'll be back in a minute. Will you hang around outside the TARDIS waiting for me? And I'll make you wait a long time!
However, I gotta admit to you all, I fucking loved this episode. The reason why I wanted to review all the episodes of this series was because of the episode Father's Day. I really wanted to talk about it because I fucking love this one. I think it was so brilliant, and it's been praised for having such a meaningful message and such heartbreaking moments. And it's been praised for also relying heavily on the plot and emotions and characters instead of monsters and aliens in action. But the acting in this episode really is what makes it brilliant, especially Shaun Dingwell, who portrays Pete Tyler. He's just such a brilliant actor, and he does it amazingly throughout this episode. He's really, really great. And oh my God, don't even get me started on the musical score by Murray Gold. It was just so heartbreaking. The official theme for this episode was just called Father's Day, the song. You can go and YouTube it. It's beautiful, and I don't know, man. It's kind of heartbreaking at the same time. He really hit gold with the musical element to this episode. It was great. It's a real tearjerker. Now, Murray Gold collaborated with the BBC National Orchestra of Wales to create all the music for this series, and it really goes to show it's amazing music that's used in this series. Now, the reason why I love this episode so much is actually also because of Rose. For the first time in the series, I actually feel compassionate towards her. Through the season, up until this point, I feel like she's been acting like a spoiled brat. But in this episode, she also kind of acts like a brat, but at the same time, she's sweet, she's innocent, she's sincere, and she just wants her dad back in her life. And it's honestly heartbreaking. I lost my own mom 2.5 years ago, and I can relate to Rose in this episode. I really can. The fact that she wants her dad to come back into her life, and you know, if I had a chance to go back and save my mom in some way, shape, or form, obviously I would do it too, wouldn't you? If you had the opportunity to go back in time and spend time with your loved ones that's passed away, wouldn't you do that? So kudos to Russell T Davies and the team behind this episode. It's one of those really emotional ones that does not need all these villains and action and running and all that stuff. It's great. However, this episode is also packed in with humor and comedy, which I think creates this really beautiful balance between the heartbreaking stuff and the comedic stuff. All of the doctor's little catchphrase in this episode, I picked another stupid ape and get in the church, get out the church, you know. It's fucking hilarious. All right, now, as you can hear, I fucking love this episode. So I'm going to give the episode 5 out of 5 TARDISes because it's brilliant. It's one of those episodes that I feel like are near to complete perfect. Everything about this episode was just great. I can't think of a single thing that I didn't like. But it's all food for thought. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this episode. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Michael Novak. This is Doctor Who Is My Life. Be sure to subscribe and like the video and all that stuff. Check out my main channel as well that I've been running for 10 years. And yeah, I will see you guys next week for the review of The Empty Child. That should be exciting. Bye, guys.